New, hit the follow button. It's free to hit follow. You know what I'm saying? It goes a long way. Appreciate it. Slow grind to 200. You know how you're doing it. Check the link in the chat. You can see any link to connect to anything. Discord, Twitter, uh, TikToks, YouTube.
That's a bad looking free throw right there.
I hate to be the one.
Wait. Let me see. Okay, never mind.
That's a bad looking free throw right there.
I hate to be the one to say this, but he's been a bust for them.
This is the most bizarre thing we've ever seen from a number 1 overall pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Right now, it appears to be the biggest.
I'm letting you know if Markelle didn't tell his ACL, I think it was last year, he would have been. He could have been. That was. I think that might have been his like most approved year, and then like this year coming up, this could have been his breakout year.
His bust in NBA history.
His high school days. Fultz. There we go. Listen to the crowd. Listen to the reaction. They're getting on their feet.
You seen the moment late in the second quarter where Fultz was about to check back in, but the Sixers went with McConnell instead.
Psychologically, something very bad has happened to this
Oh
kid.
God, that was nasty.
In all my years of watching the NBA, no story of a player has ever stuck with me like Markelle Fultz's has. There's so many theories regarding what happened and how it transpired. So many layers that extend past his basketball life
So cool.
and into his personal life.
How about was
Markelle
bucket of
drafted
Washington?
into what seems like an excellent situation. Surrounded by two of the best youngest players in the league, the chances of failing seemed so incredibly minuscule. The way he failed is a combination of mismanagement, unlucky events, and the unfortunate pressure of being drafted with the top pick. There's no definitive moment in the entirety of Fultz's saga that you can point to and say, this is where it all went wrong. However, you can notice small details here and there that snowballed over time until it was too late.
Crazy.
The shoulder injury may have taken the attention, but they won't tell you the full story. That's where I come in. This is the real story about the rise and fall of Markelle Fultz.
A real story. Okay. The real story. Okay. The realest of the trillest.
Fultz was a five-star prospect at DeMatha Academy, one of the best high schools for athletes. What many don't remember about this time is that just 2 years previously, Fultz was cut from his sophomore team. He took this personally and worked even harder on his skills, eventually making it to the varsity team. He then dominated, took over the high school scene, and asserted himself as one of the best players in the nation. Markelle had plenty of accomplishments at such a young age, so the choices for college seemed widespread, with many big names on the horizon. Despite this, he ended up choosing Washington University, a school that's known for having many former NBA players like Isaiah Thomas,
IT.
Murray, and Brandon Roy. What's interesting to note is that all of these players weren't the best in their class. Roy was the 6th pick in the 2006 draft. DeJounte was a late first rounder, and Isaiah was the last pick.
Yeah.
Why not choose a more popular school? Fellow guards of that draft class, like De'Aaron Fox and Lonzo Ball, chose Kentucky and UCLA, which were much more known and successful. What gives? To Markelle, when he entered the gym.
Only one. You know, I'm believing Lonzo. I'm gonna see what Lonzo does this year for the Bulls. Hopefully he does something good because he got. I ain't gonna lie. He got some shoes to fill with them Bulls.
And Washington offered him a contract months before the other schools. That's understandable,
contract?
but also thought-provoking. The top player in the nation chose a school that hadn't qualified for the NCAA tournament in 6 years. Nonetheless, Kell arrived as a Washington Husky and burst onto the scene. His skill set as a guard was unmatched. He could be an excellent playmaker, but also create shots for himself off the dribble. He was a terrific finisher with poster dunks and flashy layups every night. And perhaps the most coveted aspect of his game was his effortless sharpshooting. He could rise up over any defender, pull up from 30 and hear the net swish, Fultz could do
we
everything
shoot
as a
over
point
those.
guard offensively. His defense, however, was often criticized as lackadaisical. Yet with him standing at 6 feet 4 inches, there was a perfectly good reason to
6'4"?
assume he'd develop a strong defensive game at the next level. What's important to highlight is that at this time, in every single mock draft, Fultz was at the top. Not top point guard, top player overall. It's easy to look back now with revisionist history and make the bold claim that Jason Tatum should have gone first overall, but evidence from 2017 shows otherwise. The Washington Huskies went 9-22, not even cracking the tournament, and all eyes went to the man himself regarding this. If he was so good, then how
was
come
that Thibault? Am I tripping? Thibault? Was that Thibault right there? That's Thibault, right? Matisse Thibault? Yeah, that is right.
So much.
I didn't even know Thibault. Yeah, I didn't know Thibault went to Washington. That's crazy.
Talent, which is true, and the basketball world paid no mind to this losing record because the.
Look at this draft class. I don't know who is better, Jason Tatum or Donovan Mitchell. That's a tough one. This is Luke Kennard right here. I'm out of bio. Malik Monk, Dennis Smith Jr. Isaac, Woodoo, Aaron Fox. Tatum was Jesus. Oh, never mind. I go with D-Mitch. That Frank Neal kid. Oh boy, I ain't going. This is Justin Jackson, please. What the? Who's that? I don't know.
The 2017 draft was fastly approaching. The 2017 draft lottery took place with the Boston Celtics landing the top slot. They kept this pick for about a month when suddenly, out of nowhere, they traded down with the Sixers, receiving the third pick as Philly stepped up to 1. Fans immediately.
That's crazy. Imagine Jason Tatum wearing a Boston Celtics jersey. I mean, not a Boston. Philadelphia 76ers jersey. Imagine him wearing. You thought this was a. Oh, imagine Tatum wearing a freaking Sixers jersey, bro. Just to think about it, that's crazy. That is crazy, bro. Tatum could be wearing a Sixers jersey for all we know, bro. What the?
Immediately began criticizing Boston general manager Danny Ainge.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Decision. How could you pass up the opportunity to draft what seemed like the perfect
Just think about it. Imagine Tatum in a Sixers jersey. Oh my God.
The Celtics made this decision. They could have just been that infatuated with Jason Tatum, the offensively polished forward from Duke. Either that or they could have seen something wrong with Markelle Fultz. He struggled badly in his workout with the C's. His shot form looked fine, but the end result was a clank off the rim. Other fans love pointing to Fultz's free throw percentage as a reason that we should have been concerned, but that's also pure revisionist.
65%.
They claim the true way to determine if somebody is a shooter is by their free throws, which I agree with. However, when Fultz arrived in the league, it's not that he couldn't make threes, but that he was physically incapable of shooting jump shots at all. We'll never know for sure why Boston skipped on Markelle, and all of the media attention soon went to Philly, as they had a chance to form a dynasty.
Had a chance.
Fultz, Simmons,
Embiid.
2 number 1 picks.
Shoot better than
and 1
Markelle
third pick
Fultz.
who had shown flashes of greatness.
Don't we all?
Markelle had another terrible workout with Philly just a few days before the draft, but now it was far too late to think anything of that. You'd already given up the assets to get here. Fultz's trainer excused this by simply saying the kid was nervous, which made sense at the time. Reminder, it's easy to
4 for 18.
say
Dang, bro.
now that these were red flags, but it makes no sense to skip on the best prospect in the class because of a few bad workouts. Philly chose him with the first pick a few days later, and the NBA world exploded into excitement. As Markelle walked towards the stage, in his big moment, a few interesting words were uttered by Reese Davis, the ESPN draft analyst.
An avid BMX biker, and now he loves to throw caution to the wind.
Did you catch that?
An avid BMX biker.
An avid
BMX biker.
This sentence is often referenced by many when the question of what happened arises. The theory goes as followed. Fultz, being a big fan of biking, injured his shoulder and refused to tell the Sixers organization so his contract wouldn't be voided.
In fact, I
find
would
this
make at
theory
least
to be
five.
incorrect.
5 to 7.
Had this motor accident been the case, structural damage would have been found in
If that's the case, how many did Ben Simmons make?
Fultz's shoulder. However, the Sixers stated multiple times that this wasn't the case, and there wasn't anything damaged in his shoulder. That fact in itself
They did say that. I remember that.
pieces. In other news, Jason Tatum, the player Philly essentially traded Fultz for, talked in his draft interview. He said that Boston would have taken him with the #1 pick had they not traded down. Immediately, Sixers and NBA fans alike mocked this statement because at the time it sounded ludicrous. This once again puts into question,
He
why
took
did
0.
Danny Ainge feel so strongly about skipping on Fultz? Fast forward to Summer League. The first game on the board was Sixers versus Celtics, Fultz versus Tatum, and fans were excited. The two young guns battled it out. Fultz hit flashy shots.
GD Factory. Oh boy, those were the days.
Rivalry was setting itself in stone. Jason Tatum, however, got the last laugh, hitting a long jumper to win the game.
Yep, game winner.
Overall, Markelle played well, but was inefficient. He was sloppy and turned it over quite a bit, although that was expected from a young player in his first ever
Hey,
game.
Jaylen Brown
On the
and
other hand,
freaking Jason
Markelle
Tatum on the
was
floor.
poised with many
Crazy.
jumpers, hitting this smooth mid-range J,
Took one.
or Hezzy pull-up Jimbo, as Kevin Durant tweeted. The defense was fantastic as well. The blocked shots by Markelle were highlight worthy, showing the elite defensive potential. In all of those great moments, however,
That's a good block right there.
domino in the Fultz saga began to fall. Take a look at the jump shot in these clips. Not bad looking at all.
That was really good.
From the form he had at Washington, much lower and not the same high release point.
Yeah, it did change a little bit from
The next
Washington.
game against
I thought you
the
were just talking about in
Jazz,
general.
he continued to play well, dropping 23 points with a flurry of more jump shots. The form was still visibly different than his
It does look
Since they
different.
were going in, nobody seemed to notice. His third Summer League game was when the next domino fell. Against the Warriors, Fultz was incredibly aggressive in the paint, driving every single time. Then, as he went up for a block, he came down hard and injured his ankle, thus sidelining him for the rest of Summer League. Injuries happen, and this specific ankle wasn't some sort of a threat to his health at all. The real problem here is that by
I ain't gonna lie, I twisted my ankle today too. You know what I'm saying? It's happened.
sustaining this injury, he was no longer playing, and the Sixers as a team wouldn't be able to fully monitor him until the season began a few months later. In between this period of the Summer League injury and the impending season, something went horribly wrong for Markelle Fultz. Throughout his time in a Sixers uniform so far, his form visually seemed fine, but he wasn't taking as many jump shots as when he was in college. In fact, that final game against the Warriors saw him only shooting one jumper, a moving mid-range bucket. These shooting and jump shot issues didn't begin after the ankle injury, but before it, quite possibly during the draft. There were many rumors supporting the idea that he never wanted to come to Philly in the first place, so when he heard the news of the Sixers moving up to draft him, that could have been a tough pill to swallow. Tanking to the top by Yaron Weitzman adds more ammo to the mental hurdles Markelle had to go through. He had a fight with his mother, then went to the gym, and his form looked horrendous. Lloyd Pierce, the Sixers' assistant coach at the time, worked with Fultz on an off day after Summer League had closed. "I've never seen anything like that before," Pierce said to colleagues after the workout.
The kid
"This
can't shoot."
kid can't shoot.
That's
None
funny.
of this had made the
The kid
news,
can't
though.
shoot.
Nobody really knew about Fultz's problems.
So they had 2 people that can't shoot. They had 2 people that can't
So he
shoot.
went
That's tough.
to the only person
That's
he
tough.
trusted with basketball, his longtime trainer, Keith Williams. Keith had been training Fultz for years, so when Markelle came to him and said that he believed somebody was holding down his arms as he was lifting to shoot, they tried multiple practices to fix this issue, one of which was him shooting while lying on the gym floor, or dribbling the ball into his shot to create a rhythm. We don't know what effect this training had on Fultz or his shot, but it certainly wasn't positive. October 18th, 2017 was the first game
of the NBA
Markelle
season,
Fultz's pro career, and it was a complete mess. Don't get me wrong, he showed flashes with his finishing ability and defense, but it seemed like throughout it all, he was a shadow of his former self. Once again, the lack of jump shots was present. He shot one the entire game. This off-balance mid-range two-pointer looked great actually, and gave Sixers fans hope that Markelle could eventually return to his old ways. We now know that Fultz has always been better with moving, off-balance shots. The precise reason for this is undetermined, but it's a mix of him not thinking while shooting and it just being a more comfortable shot. And perhaps the worst moment of the game, Fultz was fouled, driving inside, and shot 2 of the worst free throws I've ever seen in my life. It's easy for any bystander to look at this moment and laugh at a professional basketball player having the shot of a child, but just think about it for a moment. This was a 19-year-old rookie, someone who was selected #1 overall, with monumental expectations of being the finishing piece for a franchise. A guy who was an absolute sharpshooter just a few months ago, for whatever reason, is unable to lift up his shoulders and is still voluntarily playing games to try and help his team. This pattern of shooting woes continued for a few more games until Fultz was yanked from the team and listed as out for the foreseeable future. The Sixers said he had scapular muscle imbalance, which is a fancy way for saying his shoulder just wasn't right. There was also word from his agent, Raymond Brothers, that Fultz had fluid taken out of his shoulder. This was then changed to having fluid put in his shoulder. There seemed to be no understanding of what was going on. With all of this happening, the Sixers general manager, Brian Colangelo, said that there was nothing wrong physically with Fultz. For the next 5 months, it was complete radio silence. Fultz quietly trained and retooled his jump shot because now he lacked the strength to shoot from a few feet away. There were moments in the recovery process where NBA media members forgot he was human, to the point where fellow veteran teammate JJ Redick had to explicitly tell them to leave Fultz alone.
First, thank you for that. That was like another big brother moment that you stood up for me, and it made me feel even better.
Other basketball media began to hop on the Fultz criticism
wait.
some jumping.
Hey Siri, how old is Markelle Fultz? Dang, he's only 23. It's crazy. He's still young.
Him a bust already. Throughout all of this, Fultz maintained that what was going on was an injury. His rookie season at this point was a complete disaster. 5 games played, and it seemed like he never got the chance to show what he was capable of.
I don't think he's
that
a
was
bust.
The case.
He's so like when he's on the Magic, like when he comes back from Magic, he's going to do good work. But the thing is, he has nobody on that team no more. He still has, I guess, Jonathan Isaac. He's coming back from injury as well, so that's one. I'm proving, yeah. Yeah, he has a decent center, Wendell Carter Jr. He has Gary Harris as a good 2 guard. So it's not like it's a bad team. It's just like it's in the team you want to see, like, oh yeah, they're definitely playoffs automatically. It's hard.
Until
hard.
late March of 2018, when Markelle went to the head coach at the time, Brett Brown, and told him, "I'm ready."
Markelle Fultz will play tonight. It was his decision.
Oh yeah, Jalen Suggs. Yeah, I forgot about Jalen.
It's ridiculous what he's been through, and he understands it, and I understand it. That's the scrutiny you get when somebody says, and with the first pick of the 2017 NBA draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select
Markelle Fultz.
Markelle Fultz will play tonight. Those were the words that rang across the NBA world. It was 5 months of absolute disaster, confusion, lost hope. Yet in just a normal regular season game against the Denver Nuggets, Fultz would suddenly be returning. In his first game back, he dropped 10 points and 8 assists. Once the game slowed down, you could see the potential begin to show. Hard drives to the rim, clever passes, and a smooth mid-range game. The only issue is that with this return, there were no three-point attempts, as well as no free throws. Those were the two
You already got somebody that's not
biggest issues, and it seems
that
like
is
they
true.
weren't
Cole
being
Anthony
fixed.
down there, and
Anyone who brought this up, however,
Cole Anthony
was
did pretty good this year.
silenced because most were happy Fultz was playing at all. Philly ended up winning their last 9 games of the season. Markelle played okay, but there still weren't any three-pointers, and the free throw was still broken. Many were rightfully confused at why the same issues were still here 5 months later, but just shrugged their shoulders and hoped it would be fixed with time. In the last game of the 2017-18 season, Fultz posted the youngest triple-double in NBA
He
history.
did. I do
with
remember
12
that.
points, 10 assists, and 10 rebounds. An overall solid game that showed he could play well, even without a jump shot. At the end, when he grabbed his 10th board, he was mobbed by his teammates, showing how much they believed in the kid. It was a great thing to see. Fast forward to the playoffs, and Fultz barely plays, getting DNPs in the second round series versus Boston. The reason for this varied on who you asked. Philly claimed it was because Fultz needed more time before playing in the postseason, and others said it was because Fultz just wasn't good enough. The series against the Celtics had to be one of the most mentally challenging events a rookie could ever go through. Seeing Jason Tatum, the guy who was traded for you, drop bucket after bucket to eliminate your team, as you could do nothing but sit and watch, it was tough. As the Sixers lost 4-1, there was disappointment, but hope in the air. It was a wild season, so the offseason could be a time for everything to
tough, bro.
slow
That's
down
tough. I can only
and let
imagine,
Fultz
bro.
recover to his full abilities. Remember, just 12 months ago, he was the top prospect in the nation. What if all he needed was some time to rest and recoup? Fultz and Joel Embiid discussed off-season training plans, and Embiid recommended Drew Hanlon as a trainer. Hanlon is known for training some of the best players in the game, and with his ever-so-popular social media presence, hype was on the way in Fultz Town. Over the summer, Hanlon released videos of Markelle working out, not showing any videos of the form, but promising that he'd turn him into an all-star. Embiid and Simmons were great and all, but none of this will work out unless Fultz truly develops into the player they hope he can become. Fast forward to the 2018-19 season, Markelle talks about his renewed confidence, how the summer was one of his hardest working, and that he was ready to become the third star. In the preseason, Fultz looked okay. His mid-range shot looked pure, which was reassuring. Plus, his finishing and playmaking was solid. He did make one three-pointer, the first of his NBA career, a corner, wide-open triple. The form looked not bad, a little on the slow side, but much better than the disaster that was his rookie season. The only issue is that, once again, the shot was nothing like his college one. The form was slow and had a lower release point.
Imagine the Sixers keep both Simmons and Markelle. It's tough. You got two people on the floor that can't shoot. You gonna rely on Embiid, your big man, to shoot? Man, come on, man.
Is this really a shot that he could shoot 40% from 3 with, like he did in college? The 2018-19 season began with monolithic expectations from
He got, did he get traded this year, or was the year after this he got traded?
Markelle. It was time to show
2018, 2019, or was it 2019 on to 2020?
It all started in Boston.
Oh no, I think, or was it during the summer they traded?
A rematch of last season's playoff series,
Oh, he just
and Philly's chance to get revenge. Unfortunately, Boston blew the Sixers out.
Yep,
Tatum shined, and
Tatum.
Fultz was invisible. He scored 5 points
during the deadline. That's
2 of
why.
7
Yep,
from
I
the
remember
field,
now.
And 1 jump shot, which was
It was
an
a 3-team
off-balance
trade.
two-pointer. This is when fans really began to get upset. How is it that after all of this time, Markelle still couldn't shoot any threes? Philly started out the season 8-5, Fultz looking mediocre with little to no three-pointers. He also made headlines for his wacky free throw forms, the infamous double
Oh,
pump,
God.
as well as whatever this is, was worrying. The Sixers weren't impressed, and by now they had run out of patience. They soon traded for all-star forward Jimmy Butler, which yanked Markelle out of the starting lineup and onto the bench. November 19th, 2018 was Fultz's last game with the Sixers. His agent announced that they'd be looking for a shoulder specialist to diagnose an injury, and Markelle was out indefinitely. This was the second straight year that he'd play for a few games, then get pulled out before he had a chance to truly get his feet wet in the game of basketball. The weird part about all of this is that Fultz was hitting mid-range shots at a solid clip. There were some games when he hit multiple 15-footers, so why couldn't that translate to three-pointers? Right after the Suns game, Fultz talked with Allen Iverson. You gotta wonder if AI told him to trust his body and sit out.
I'm gonna imagine what Allen Iverson said.
He was diagnosed with thoracic outlet syndrome. It's a condition that affects the shoulder. Some were skeptical as they believed Fultz's team made up this injury to mask the fact he simply forgot how to shoot. Others were happy that his injury was finally diagnosed and that he could begin his recovery process. The trade deadline arrived and Fultz was shipped out to the Orlando Magic for Jonathan Simmons and a heavily protected first-round pick. Philly was all in for a title run with their big four. They didn't have time to wait for Markelle to get better. For Fultz, Orlando seemed like a good spot, a team with much less media attention, who didn't have championship hopes. Hopefully here he can return to his number one pick self. This trade represents the failure of what could have been. Fultz, Embiid, and Simmons were expected to be one of the best big threes the league had to offer, and instead, for whatever mysterious shoulder-related issue, it just couldn't come to fruition. The Sixers have never been the same. For years, they've lacked a shot-creating guard to lead their team. Markelle was supposed to be that guy, and didn't pan out.
Oh, it's an injury that pitchers and okay.
Once he arrived in Orlando, Markelle began working with the Magic staff to get healthy. He didn't play for the rest of the 2018-19 season, meaning he played 33 games total with the Sixers. 33. He never really got a fair chance to showcase his skills.
Yeah, 33, you didn't even play a full season.
And just as quickly as he was in Philly, he was out. Fultz made his Magic debut on October 23rd, 2019. He hit a few mid-range shots and threw down a vicious slam. The three-pointer, after 2.5 years, still remained a non-factor. At this point, fans just focused on other aspects of his game. No point in dwelling on the jump shot. Throughout the season, Fultz showed flashes. Whether it was going toe-to-toe with LeBron James,
I remember this game.
Throwing down,
and the Magic won this game too. That's the craziest thing.
Simply staying healthy. Markelle impressed many with his play and averaged career-best numbers. 12 points a night on 47% shooting, 5 assists and 5 rebounds per contest, with elite finishing, disciplined defense, and great mid-range shooting. He shot an ugly 26% from downtown. The only difference between Orlando and Philly was the fact that he simply attempted more threes. He was no longer
oh my God, Haas.
The weirdest part is that he was so damn good shooting mid-range shots. There were times when he would light up an opposing team with just jumpers. His free throws were vastly improved as well. Gone were the days of the double pump. Fultz
again, Haas, I appreciate it, but still, bro.
Which was right around the league average, and the form looked much more consistent. Fast forward to the bubble, and the 8th-seeded Magic squared off against the Bucks. Game 1 was unforgettable because Orlando shocked Milwaukee, absolutely dominating them, with Fultz putting up 15 points. It finally felt like he was part of it.
Remind me, did Vucevic drop like 30 or something that for game 1?
A culture. He was the quarterback to this upset victory. They ended up losing in 5, but Fultz played well in his first ever
he did play really well.
Series. The narrative now surrounding Markelle is simple. He's a fine player without a three-point shot, a high-level bench player / low-level starter. If he really wants to live up to that #1 hype, however, he must
But
be
DJ Augustine dropped 30
to become an all-star. The 2020-21
I know somebody
season
dropped big numbers in
began
that game.
when Fultz immediately went to work, averaging 20 points per game on high efficiency.
This is what I'm saying, bro. Then he had a leg injury, bro. He tore his
Destroying the
ACL.
Washington Wizards and looking like a star in the making. He had no three-point shot, but it didn't look like he needed one. Down the stretch, he simply bulldozed the defense out of the way. Just a few games later, his knee collapsed and he tore his ACL.
Oh,
the Magic
bro.
were 6 and
That shit, oh my god. That shit makes me so mad, bro. Like, I feel so bad, bro. This is crazy.
2.
Like,
Number 1.
Dude, he was doing so good. Putting up. Let's go back to the numbers. Let's go back to the numbers. We'll go back, bro. Bro. Come on, man. So far this season, he's averaging 20 points, 4 assists, decent, almost 50% from the field, which is really good, and 90% from free throw, bro. Career numbers, and then he just goes down with an injury, bro. That's just, oh my god.
Collapsed and he tore his ACL. The Magic were 6 and 2, #1 in the East before he went down. Fultz had shown tons of progress, yet in the core of this success, we forgot about why we hadn't seen this progress in so long. Injuries. It was heartbreaking, and he's been recovering since January. This puts his future in a bit of a question mark. It's clear the talent is there, but he hasn't been healthy nearly as much as he should be to showcase what he's capable of. His game still has one glaring weakness, which is the lack of a three-point shot, and if he never develops that essential skill, he'll never.
And the crazy thing is, they traded Vucevic, bro. Like I said, they don't got Vucevic no more, bro.
Never reach the all-star potential he's capable of.
So we got.
As for
I'm
my
praying he
theory
does good. I'm
regarding
praying he does
Markelle,
good.
I think it was a mix of injury and mental pressure. Somewhere along the line, he must have developed some shoulder issues, which then added a
He probably was practice shooting with Ben Simmons. That's why they both about to be out of Philly.
hit to his shot. Instead of resting and
That's
waiting,
funny.
he tried to play through it, thus developing a lack of confidence.
And if for some reason Ben Simmons sees this, I'm trolling. I doubt he'll see this, but I'm trolling.
In his shooting ability.
Ben, I'm trolling.
Once that shoulder issue went away, the mental
For
block
Jonathan
remained,
Simmons.
and he has since.
I'm glad Jonathan Simmons did have like
He
a
also
breakout year.
lacks the
The 2017 year with the Spurs, that was his breakout year. So I think that's why people were trading for him. Well, wait, the Sixers.
strength shooting the ball from behind the perimeter. From 15 feet, the form looks beautiful. From 22 feet, it looks like he needs more oomph. He's also good at shooting off the dribble, which requires less thinking when putting the ball up compared to standstill. We can sit here and theorize all we want, but no one really knows what happened besides Fultz himself. And he said it was an injury, so let's believe him. The Markelle Fultz saga is truly one of the most heartbreaking stories the NBA has ever seen. One of the most hyped up prospects in years went from a surefire all-star compared to James Harden to forgotten by many in Orlando. There's still a real chance he blossoms into a star player. Someone with as much talent as he possesses will always stick around, but it all resides on him developing a perimeter game. You can watch the NBA for the rest of your life.
You need a perimeter game
and
if you're a point
you'll never see
guard.
a story like
That's the only way
Fultz's
you're gonna
ever
survive in this league now.
transpire again. It's now up to him to make that story have a good ending.
I was just about to say how the bot, no. That's crazy. That's W.